Hey everybody, Adam from Atlas Gunworks. A fun little history video today, probably a short one, but this is two examples of an ESP gun. So ESP is a division in IDPA, and we didn't build a lot of guns for that because they had a lot of rules, and a lot of the rules prohibited our guns. They had very specific gun rules. And so the 4.6 inch platform on the 9mm for our guns works so well. And I think ESP stands for Enhanced Service Pistol. But people wanted to shoot our guns in that division, and we had to figure out a way to do it. So the trick was this. That's a bushing barrel, or I should say a bushing with a bull barrel. And so we were interested in making bushing guns. We did some custom bushing guns. They probably exist. I venture to guess there's probably far less than 20, maybe 10 or less. So those are probably pretty valuable if you could find an Atlas bushing gun, but with a real bushing barrel in it. But these guns, these ESPs, are bushings that EGW at one point came out with a bushing that worked with a bull barrel. So our normal bull barrel with a bushing in there. And so this conformed to the rules. Now, the interesting thing is we probably only made 20 of these or less. And I think we did a batch of just 20. Like, I think we just said, hey, we're going to make them and sell them. But my memory is a little bit foggy on the details on that. But there can't be more than 20 of these out there. What's super interesting is that they changed the rule about the time we released these guns, and the bushing wasn't a requirement anymore. So all of a sudden, these things, there's no reason to do this. So this gun got released, probably 20 of them in the wild, and then immediately became obsolete. So if you looked at the newest version of an Atlas gun out now, one of the two new guns, there's an ESP and an Apollo. The Apollo is a ported gun, but just because these guns had so few of the serrations out there in the wild, we took this design and altered it a little bit, but it's very similar. So it's a very unusual gun. It's a bull barrel, but with a bushing, 4.6 inch. All the normal stuff. This is the beginning of alpha grips too. So they have the AE serial number on here is alpha equipped. That's what the AE means. So it means it has an alpha grip. We've almost made 10,000 of these, so we're about to switch to something else. But in the short term, or in the first 10,000 that have the alpha grip, will be alpha equipped. And so the alpha grip came about in our second location. So we opened the shop in just an office in Charlotte. Everybody locally pronounces it Charlotte, but it's spelled Charlotte. So Charlotte, Vermont. We needed an industrial location to get 07 license. So there was an industrial building that had an office for rent, rented an office, got the license, and then started figuring out how we would build Atlas Gunworks. Never thinking it would be as big as it is today. And so from that location, which we were only in for like a year and a half, we were there for 2 years. We moved to North Ferrisburg, so about 5 miles away from that first location and 11 miles from where I am today at the headquarters in Shelburne, Vermont. And these are 1, 2, 3 towns in a row. We moved to North Ferrisburg, and that's where the Alpha Grip was created, and then subsequently this gun. So this gun was built then. That team in North Ferrisburg was, I think when we left, 22 people. We were working on inside of 2,400 square feet, and we were, I don't know if I'll totally do the gun number justice there. We probably built somewhere between 12 and 1,500 guns in that last year. So this is a product of that. The guns are awesome. You're not missing anything you would from a normal, but to have something with that bushing on a bull barrel is odd by itself. And then the extra rarities, we only made 25 of them. And these are easily forgotten that they even exist. So we're happy to have, I think one came back and we own one. We bought one back for the museum. And then we actually have a second one in. Someone sent us a second one, a friend, to help us just get us moving and do this video. And then I'll a little bit more Atlas history too. These two guns actually have different barrels in them. So we had two different vendors making barrels for us before we made our own barrels. So these predate. The barrel machine came into this building. We make the barrels all in one shot on a 9-axis mill turn here. So both these barrels, so we couldn't. That was one of the things where we made barrels. Is actually part of the an interesting story. We couldn't get enough barrels, so we were buying originally from KKM. I think they limited us to 100 a month on order, and they struggled to deliver all 100 a month. So we were constantly waiting for barrels. So we had a second vendor build barrels to our print, nearly identical. They used slightly different processes, but the output was nearly identical. Both barrels performed pretty much the same. All the barrels, if you make them right, are really, really close in performance. If you make them poorly, that's not the case. But if you make a good barrel, they're very, very close. But the guns back then would get one of the two barrels depending on what was available. But we were not able to grow the company much past like 120, 130, 40 guns a month until we can make our own barrels, because barrels are a big problem in the industry. So that was part of our quest to get to this building, more space, get a building where we could have a machine and make our own barrels and control our own destiny. We're not quite there yet, but the barrel machine's almost at capacity, so probably another one here in the future coming. So anyway, super fun guns, ESPs. If you see one in the wild, you should add it to the collection. It's they shoot phenomenal. The bushing, I guess we'll touch on that as a departing note. Everybody's like, our bushing's better than bull barrels. You know, our theory here at Atlas Gunworks is the bull barrel is simpler to fit. A properly fit bull barrel is fine. It's going to actually be less chances for something to be done improperly. With a bushing, you got to fit the bushing to the gun and the barrel to the bushing. The advantage of a bushing is if you fit it improperly, you could fit a new bushing and potentially start that process over. But if done right, the bull barrel is a simpler, cleaner, less moving parts. We always like less moving parts if we can get them. Hope to see you guys on the range soon.